So chapter 7 in general chemistry sort of starts moving us out of some of the more traditional chemistry topics like nomenclature and stoichiometry and so forth, and moves us more into sort of a physics world. So in chapter 7, it's called Quantum Theory and Atomic Structure. So we begin with kind of a discussion of the electromagnetic spectrum. We begin to think about how energy can be used. And so it's more physics-based. We're going to see, some equations that talk about wavelength and frequency and so forth. But that's important so that we can begin to think about kind of the properties of the electromagnetic spectrum. We'll probably have a little bit of time to discuss some things like kind of exposure to electromagnetic radiation and so forth. We then sort of transition into thinking about how this translates to where electrons are in atoms. And so it's really sort of a probability of where we're likely to find a very, very small subatomic particle. And so when we talk about orbitals, we're really asking about where is the likelihood that we're going to find an electron. So we begin thinking about atomic structure in terms of where these electrons are. So we move sort of into kind of this quantum mechanical model of the atom where we're going to learn how to sort of classify different orbitals where we potentially can find electrons. So again, some physics discussion, then some kind of descriptions of atomic orbitals. And this is really important because we need to think about what the structures of molecules are, because structure affords function. So we'll have lots of downstream applications of this, and to kind of think about why this is important, if we highlight kind of what we're covering over the next several chapters. So this is chapter 7. Chapter 8 really deals with electron configuration and periodic trends. And so we start to think about, okay, now we know the structure of this atom, how do we think about reactivity? Chapter 9 is how do we do chemistry where we bond atoms together? And then chapter 10 talks about shapes of molecules, so we think about covalent compounds, and then theories of covalent bonding, which is more on shapes in chapter 11. So that takes us through the rest of the course. So just kind of as a highlight, we still are going to be having questions on nomenclature, questions on stoichiometry, on gas laws, on energy, all of that kind of sprinkled in throughout here to make sure that we don't forget that stuff, because we do have a cumulative final exam in the course.